Hey friends, thank you for coming in today. So the topic of the video is going to be about running an offer-driven business because a lot of people that come my way inside Modern Maker, my coaching program, or the clients that I serve, they think they have a sales and marketing problem. Now, the solution to a sales and marketing driven business is to do more, right? You're going to run more ads, you're going to write more posts, you're going to get out there and just do more. But actually what happens is if you run an offer driven business, the offer sells itself and you need to do less sales and marketing because the offer is converting for you. So I've sort of scaled to 600K in a year running my coaching business by using very simple Google Docs, no sales calls, very low stress. And I wanted to sort of break it down a little bit today so you can understand what we're talking about and how we could run an offer-driven business and what the components are. So you're going to see me doodle a little bit. Hopefully my handwriting makes sense. So when we look at an offer-driven business, it's broken down, at least in my world, into three components. So on the left-hand side, we have client offers. In the middle, we have customer offers. Evidently can't use this. And then on the right-hand side, we've got the daily client engine, and I'll explain what that is in a second. So I'll do it by sharing an example because I think it will help us understand that a little bit. So let's say that our offer is 2K, right? Maybe it's a coaching business, maybe it's a service that we provide. It doesn't matter what it is for context, but first, what we want to do is get to 2K once so we can essentially validate our offer. Then what we want to do is come to 2K per month so that way we can essentially consolidate our offer. And then we want to go to 2K per week so we can automate our offer. Now, in doing that, on the left-hand side here, we've got to validate our offer. That means we have to get clients in. In the middle, we have to turn that into monthly income, recurring, and then turn that into weekly income, which can then become daily income eventually. So the fundamentals of that use a very simple system, right? So when we have a client that comes in at 2K, we're essentially going, how can I validate this? And I'm going to go into that context in a little while. But that validation could be on a Google Doc, it could be on a sales call, it could be running some sort of value trade strategy where I'm asking for people for the knowledge in exchange for the research that I'm going to do. Consolidation is bringing in that monthly recurring revenue, and automation is how do we get to build leverage. So to get a client, essentially what you can do is post content online. You can do outbound, inbound, whatever floats your boat in order to validate and get to that number first. In my world, I use LinkedIn, I use email, I use very simple Google Docs with a campaign that I run over a certain amount of days called the Cash Campaign, where I'm able to scale this offer to 2K. Now, once that happens, we want to consolidate with a back-end engine. I call this the proximity ladder, by being able to introduce retainer models. So if somebody comes in, they can continue to work with you on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and then you start to have continuity in your offers, which means you don't have to work to get more leads in the bag because you're working in the back end to retain your clients. And then once you've consolidated that, you can use something I call the daily client engine. The daily client engine in my world is something called Swipe My Mojo. .com. You can go and have a look, but essentially what that is it was a workshop that I hosted a year ago. I created a little funnel where I give somebody some insight. So in my world, it was a Google Doc that helped me get to 600K. I give that away for free in exchange for an email, and then I sell a $47 product in the back end as soon as somebody opts in. Now, that workshop was done in the past. It's been pre-validated, and I get clients to jump in, buy that. And what that essentially does is automates the pool of customers that I create. So a client is somebody that you have a long-term relationship with. A customer is somebody that buys something once off. And the daily client engine converts leads to customers. That's the first step. So if I'm on LinkedIn and I do a post and I send people to my newsletter, which is Swipe My Mojo, I have that front-end offer that essentially creates once-off customers when and if they buy. Now, I found that running an offer-driven business, I'm simply making an invitation to someone to come into my world, buy my stuff, to try my stuff, not just try them with free lead magnets and stuff like that. And I am checking for buyer intent. What is the intention, right? Will you pay me $47 for this thing, right? If you like it, you are now indoctrinated into my world. And once you're indoctrinated, you can test it out. You can do that. And then I'm going to try to shift from customer to client by making another invitation, right? So I'm turning the once-off customer into a long-term client. And I'm now consolidating all of that. So I hope that makes sense. Now, what I can do here to bring it to life is basically show you a little bit of what that looks like. So if somebody comes from LinkedIn, there's my beautiful doodle, they come into my daily client engine and they buy an offer for $47. Simple, right? I'm also running emails every day. I'm selling little customer offers here and there. So remember up at the top, we showed the customer here for consolidation. The daily client engine is the automation part of it, but also when they're in, they've got emails coming their way daily so I can create more customers. Now, these could be digital products, they could be workshops, they could be anything. And then once they become customers, I make them a client offer so we can work together long term. Now, I hope that makes sense. I'm going to show you another little doodle, which is called the content stack. A lot of people have asked me, Jacob, how on earth do you write content? Now, the content can sell for you when you provide context, because content is communication in context. What do I mean by that? If you give me the context, then the offer sells. If I understand what it is that I'm doing, there's a difference with context creation and content creation. So back to our client offers, I have a Google Doc that has certain steps that enables me to send and convert, to send it out to clients and then convert them, right? So the prospect or the lead becomes a client. Inside of that, I have a concept called the hybrid offer. The hybrid offer essentially just means it's one universal offer that has multiple products in it that are birthed. But my job is, as I've just done, is to provide you context. Otherwise, the word hybrid doesn't mean anything. So what I do is I go back and I've built the hybrid offer for my clients. Now I move backwards and I can create a customer offer. I could, for example, birth a workshop, invite my email list that is not yet a modern maker, that is not yet a client of mine inside my group coaching, and get them to understand what the hybrid is. So I did that actually, and I sold 47 tickets to people in a day pass for $100, and I made $4,700 for people to come to this point here and buy the workshop, right? Now, to get them here, I had to create content so I can create context for this offer that I'm going to make. So if somebody doesn't know what the hybrid is, it's my job to create content before I make the offer so they can see themselves in it. So to put it very simply, I've explained what the hybrid offer is just now in this video. My content uses the 4 Ps, right? So I can show proof, like a bottom funnel post on LinkedIn with a case study of how I've helped either myself or a client use the hybrid offer to make 30K. Right? And if you want access to the workshop, you can join me on this day for $100, or you can join my newsletter, whatever. So now I'm providing context of the hybrid in my proof post. Then I can talk about a problem, create problem, or talk about a problem. Now, in this case, if we're using the hybrid, an example of that is very simple. It's like you don't need to have multiple offers to scale your business. Otherwise, you're doing way too much. And that's the problem. You're investing your resources left, right, and center, and your offers can't scale because you're putting time where it doesn't matter. But if you have one hybrid offer, that solves that problem because you're essentially selling proximity and access to you with this one hybrid offer, and you can scale people up the ladder. That's an example of a problem post that gives context. And if you want to come to the workshop, now I make you an offer, right? Like, you've got the context, I make the offer, you come to the workshop. Then I can use philosophy, like the 3rd P in my content. A philosophy is a belief of yours that you believe is true. So I used a little bit of philosophy in the problem post that I just explained, but to put it into simple terms, I believe that you can have one offer instead of having multiple offers. And that's my philosophy. Or I believe you can sell through Google Docs without sales calls if you have a hybrid offer that converts, right? So there's my philosophy post. And if you want to find out, now that you have context and I make you this offer, you will likely buy. And then the 4th P, which is sort of optional, is the plan. What's the plan to get you there? So more so for my client offers, I help people scale to 10K a month using hybrid offers and a bunch of other things. And here's how we do it. We run customer offers, we use the daily client engine, we use power writing or whatever it is. And the first step is the hybrid client offer workshop to give you the context. You see how now, essentially, I'll do another little nasty doodle for you. Sorry for how terrible this looks, but hopefully it makes sense. A lot of marketers, basically, they have a product here. So that's the product. And they use LinkedIn or email or whatever to market to the products. And they run ads and they write posts and they go organic and they do whatever. What we are doing here as context creators is we have a product and we market from the product by extracting a small component into social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, email, whatever it is. Now, when you market from the product, it creates context, and with context, we are able to sell our offers. So if you've got an offer that you feel isn't converting as much, it may not be the pricing, it may not be the plan, it may not be the promise, it might be that there isn't the right amount of context, right? So when we look at an offer in isolation, we forget the context. But if we take one component, right, of the client offer and build content around it, right? So there's the Google Doc. We now build a workshop and then we build the post. We're going in reverse. That is what basically creates effortless sales. There's my ugly handwriting there for you. So basically one word and you build context, you do it on repeat for sales to happen effortlessly without actually having to speak to people, and they buy because they understand what you mean. That's why context wins and everything stems from your offer. Someone finds context from the content you produce, right? So when we sort of look at this as a whole, here's a little metaphor for you before we go, where we can say, for example, I've got some wood that creates some planks, right? So there's the wood. This creates some planks, and the planks create sawdust. So the wood is the product that is inside, right? Your program, your service, right? It's a coaching program. We do the hybrid offer like I just explained. I've already done the content, right, for my existing clients. Now I can extract little videos like these that I'm making to create planks of wood, chop them up, right? And in the process of doing these things, we have sawdust. Sawdust is derived from the process of doing this, right? So I've already done the client work. I've gotten the planks done now. This is the YouTube video that you see has already been done. And then I can dissect this and talk about the hybrid offer on LinkedIn, right? And talk about a problem, a philosophy of mine, show proof, which is the sawdust that's derived from this process. And a lot of people forget that, right? We just create content for the sake of creating, and we focus on getting new leads. Whereas if you focus on writing to your existing clients and you go backwards, chop up the wood into planks and then create sawdust, it makes the writing process so much easier, right? So I hope this was useful for you today, and that we can rock and roll upwards. So let's have a look here. So we've got wood, planks, and sawdust. So friends, we spoke about client offers to essentially validate. We've spoken about customer offers to consolidate, and we've spoken about the daily client engine to automate. So we go to 2K once, we do that 2K monthly, and then we turn that monthly into weekly. And that's how we run an offer-driven business. Hope you learned something today and that it was useful. If you sort of like these sort of videos, you can hit subscribe, you can view some more of my stuff, and I'll drop some links in the comments below where you can have a little read about Modern Maker.